Retiring early sounds great until it doesn't. I know, it's a dream so many of us share. You spend your prime years grinding it out, saving diligently, and dreaming of the day that you can finally wake up without an alarm clock, sip on your coffee slowly, and never answer to a boss again. But I'm here to tell you, not as a critic, but as someone who spends their days helping people transition into retirement, that early retirement isn't always the golden ticket that it's made out to be. I'm a certified financial planner and wealth associate at Confluence Financial Partners, and I've talked to hundreds of retirees, some of whom retired quite early. And while some early retirees find happiness and peace, far too many are hit with a wave of unexpected emotions and challenges that nobody talks about. It might be boredom, isolation, regret, or a loss of purpose that no amount of money can fix. That's exactly why I'm making this video today. I want to give you the honest advice I wish more people heard before they handed in their resignation letter early. I'll walk you through the psychological consequences that come with early retirement, the stuff that retirement calculators can't measure. And I'll also show you one of the most common regrets that I hear from early retirees and how you can avoid it. And more importantly, I'll help you navigate some of the common emotional challenges that can pop up in retirement so that you can stay on track and get the most from your next chapter. Early retirement starts off like a dream. No alarms, no meetings, just freedom. And for the first few weeks or months, it might feel amazing, but that high might not last. Most people don't realize how much they depend on structure and purpose until it's gone. I call this the post-retirement cliff, the emotional drop-off after the initial excitement fades. A close friend of mine retired in his early 50s with plans of golfing and traveling. But after about 6 months, a few trips, and several rounds of golf, he began to feel aimless. His friends were still working, and his hobbies weren't as fulfilling as he had hoped they'd be. And he told me I didn't realize how much I needed to feel useful. And the hidden truth? Retirement isn't just about having more time, it's about knowing what to do with that time. And when people don't, they start to feel lost. Research backs this up. The Institute of Economic Affairs found a 40% increase in depression risk among retirees, not from a lack of money, but from a lack of meaning. So don't assume early retirement automatically leads to happiness. It really doesn't. Not unless you got more than just your financial plan. You might need a life plan. And even with that, there's a surprising downside to early retirement that catches many people off guard. And we're going to talk about that. You see, working life can feel like a constant race against the clock, right? Meetings, deadlines, obligations. So when retirement arrives, the endless free time feels like you hit the lottery until it doesn't. Once the structure disappears, many retirees face what's called the time abundance paralysis. You have too much free time and no clear way to fill it. And that can create some decision fatigue and lead to boredom and even anxiety. And this isn't unique. A study from Psychology Today found that too much unstructured free time actually reduces life satisfaction, especially when it lacks meaningful activity. The fantasy of early retirement often doesn't prepare you for the reality. Time isn't a gift that you think it might be unless you know how to use it. And retiring early often means walking away while you're still at your best, mentally sharp, professionally respected, and full of momentum. And that's why some people later reflect and wish they had taken maybe a different approach leading into retirement. In fact, a family friend of mine made a bold move and came out of early retirement. And what he told me kind of surprised me. And I'll share that story with you in just a bit. But what I commonly hear people say is things like, I miss building things and I miss contributing to my team. Early retirement sometimes can take you by surprise, especially when it changes your sense of purpose and fulfillment that you were used to. And there's also the possibility of feeling a little out of sync with your peers or your friend group. If you retire before others in your circle, your daily rhythm might change. And that shift can sometimes lead to feelings of disconnection. But with some intention, you can rebuild that sense of community in a new and meaningful way. And here's what's rarely talked about. Any second thoughts usually don't come all at once. They show up gradually, often as quiet reflections like, I thought I'd be traveling more, or I didn't expect to have this much downtime. And that's why having a strong vision for your time can be so powerful. You see, early retirement can be a beautiful choice, but only if you're clear on what you're trading it in for. Otherwise, you risk giving up the most meaningful years of contribution for potentially an empty calendar. And if I'm being honest, work is more than just a paycheck. It's an identity. For decades, you might be the teacher, the manager, or the business owner. And then one day, you're just retired. And that shift might feel freeing at first, but soon the question hits, who am I without my previous title? And this is one of the biggest regrets I hear because it's not commonly talked about, and oftentimes people don't know to think about it or plan for it. A recently retired dentist told me that, it feels like I was almost demoted from my own life. He didn't necessarily miss the day-to-day grind, but he missed the meaning behind the work that he was doing. the purpose, the reason that he got up in the morning and got out the door. So stepping away from a long-time career can leave a gap, not necessarily financially, but also in how we see ourselves. And that's why it's so important to start building a new identity and routine that brings just as much meaning and joy to your life. So what's the solution to this? Don't just retire from something. Retire to something, whether that's volunteering, mentoring, maybe starting a passion project. Build a new identity that makes you excited to wake up in the morning, not just to be relieved that you're able to sleep in. Because at the end of the day, humans are meant to work. And when it's work that fires you up and fulfills you, it's going to pull you rather than push you away. Retirement doesn't erase your need for meaning, and I believe that it actually amplifies it. So if any of these concerns resonate with you, that's all right. That's normal. And if that's the case, you might find value in my retirement readiness review. It's a personalized video where I break down your retirement outlook and I highlight potential blind spots. I'll put a link in the description if you might want to learn more about it. By now, you might be thinking, so Sean, are you saying I just shouldn't retire early? Not exactly. What I'm saying is this: don't treat early retirement as if that's the goal. Treat it as a phase that needs a clear purpose. Retirement isn't a finish line. It's not a victory lap. It's not a permanent vacation that Instagram might make it out to be. It's simply a new chapter in your life. And like any chapter, it needs a plot. So instead of chasing the dream of quitting early, start asking yourself a better question. What would I do with my newfound time from an early retirement that I'm not doing now? And if you don't have a clear and energizing answer, then maybe you don't retire just yet. Because what you'll really want isn't just freedom from work, it's the freedom to do something that matters. Remember that family friend I mentioned earlier? This is exactly what happened to him. Once he crossed what he thought was the finish line to retirement, he found himself unsure of how to structure his days at first. This ended up forcing him to go back to his previous employer to work part-time on a consulting contract. And you know what? He loved it. It was enough structure for him to keep his weeks busy between work and his personal activities, but not so much free time that he was just wallowing around. So here's what I advise instead. The first is to try a test run. Before you retire, simulate retirement if you can. Take an extended sabbatical or maybe cut down to part-time work and pay attention not just to your finances, which are important, but to how your days feel. Are you excited? Do you feel energized? Or do you feel aimless because you don't have work? Are you craving structure again, or are you enjoying your free time and filling it wisely? This mini retirement can be one of the most valuable diagnostic tools you might ever use. Now, my second recommendation is to redefine the word work. Work doesn't have to mean a 9 to 5 in a cubicle. Many of the happiest people around me that are in retirement are still working, just on their own terms. And this could be consulting, part-time work like my family friend. This could be teaching a class, maybe launching a small passion project, maybe writing a book, or serving on a nonprofit board. See, the difference is that they're choosing their work. It's their freedom to create, to contribute, and to stay engaged with the community. And that's often the real dream behind early retirement. And the third is to prioritize purpose before paperwork. And what I mean by that is, long before you finalize your retirement paperwork and hand in your resignation letter, build out your purpose map. Ask yourself questions like, what do I want to create in this next phase of my life? What value can I bring to others? How do I want to grow? Whether that's emotionally, intellectually, or socially. Then you can make that the foundation of your retirement strategy, not just financial models, because remember, your savings can fund your lifestyle, yes, but only purpose can make it really worth living. And my fourth piece of advice is to keep your options open. Retirement doesn't have to be this all or nothing decision. Maybe you consider a staggered transition, kind of like we talked about in the first point, where maybe you drop down to 3 days a week instead of 5, or you take a 6-month career pause, or you pursue seasonal or project-based work. You see, this approach helps you gradually shift into retirement rather than feeling like you're kind of jumping off a cliff into the unknown. So here's a real takeaway. Early retirement can work, but only if you've done the deeper planning beforehand, the emotional, psychological, and lifestyle prep, not just the financials and the math. Plenty of people retire early with their finances in great shape, but without a clear plan for what their lifestyle is going to look like. And that's the part that can sneak up on you. And if you want retirement to feel like a new beginning and not just a dead end, make sure you're retiring to something meaningful and purposeful to you. And if you're not sure what that looks like yet, like I said, that's okay. Reach out to me or reach out to someone that you trust that you can work with you to uncover your values and help you define your goals. That's the foundational work that, in my belief, should come before creating your retirement plan. And if you like what we covered today, I'd encourage you to subscribe. So that way you don't miss future videos where we talk about the emotional side of retirement, but then also the financial side as well. And if any emotions were stirred up in you while watching this video, I'd encourage you to let me know in the comments. I hope you found today's video helpful, and as always, great days ahead.